guys, it's Lucy, and today I'm going to be doing a video on the worst books of 2017, for me at least. So I do this video every year where I talk about the worst books that I read during that specific year, and this year happens to be 2017. This year I will also be doing this video a little bit differently, as I will have a split between the actual worst books that I read during the year and also the most disappointing books. If you watched my other video on my booktube statistics, I talked about how this year I didn't actually read any books under 3 stars, which is good. So none of these books are terrible quality-wise at least, but in comparison to the other books that I read this year, they were the worst. And the books that I would categorize under most disappointing, there might have even been good books, but they just disappointed me for one reason or another. I have 3 books to talk about that were the worst, and they will be in ascending order, so the last worst book I talk about is the actual worst book of the year, and the last most disappointing book I talk about is the most disappointing book of the year. And the first book I have to talk about is Big Boned by Meg Cabot. This is like the least worst book, I guess, because it was a fun read, but quality-wise it was not what I expected, and it was just like not really well done book. I guess this also fits under disappointing as well, but I didn't have super high expectations. It's just I remember reading the first 2 books in the series and enjoying them, but that was years ago, so I didn't have too high expectations because I know that my taste changed, so it wasn't that disappointing. It was just like not a really good book. The plot lines were like pretty predictable, and it was just like the writing was not what I thought it should have been, you know? Especially for Meg Cabot, who is like a very well-known author. The Sign of Four by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is the second Sherlock Holmes book, and it was once again not disappointing because the first book was on my worst books of the year when I read that one. So I did not have any expectations for this, and it met them, I guess, because this was not really that good either. It was once again very long and drawn out, and it was longer than it needed to be, and it was still pretty short. It just felt like such a drawn out mystery. There was like a sprinkle of racism there as well, so it was just like not very good. But I have since read the third one, which was much better. So if you, like me, were feeling some type of way about Sherlock Holmes, no fear, it gets better. The actual worst book I read during 2017 is The 100 Lies of Lizzie Lovett by Chelsea Sidoti. Once again, no expectations going into it, but it was just so not good, really, because the main character was awful. Like, definitely the worst main character I read this year. It didn't feel like she was supposed to be an unlikable character, because sometimes that can be okay. Like, I felt like we were supposed to sympathize with her, but it was just impossible to, because she was so selfish and like awful to everyone around her. She just made everything about herself when nothing was about her, really. So it was really hard to sympathize with her, and seeing things through the lens of this character made the reading experience that much worse. The whole plot of the story made absolutely no sense for what the author seemed to be trying to go for, and it was just not good. I do not recommend it. Now we have the disappointing books of the year. These are also in order, so the last book that I talk about will be the most disappointing book of 2017. Unravel Me by Tahira Mafi. This was a surprise that I even read this, honestly. I read Shatter Me and went into it with almost no expectations. I kind of knew it was going to be like a bunch of tropes and all these other stuff because it's from that period of YA, but I knew that a lot of people loved it, so I just wanted to feel like the nostalgia everyone else feels, even though it wouldn't be nostalgia because I'm reading it at the age of 21. So I read Shatter Me and I actually really enjoyed it. I think going into it knowing about all the tropes and stuff made it easier to just like enjoy the ride of the book. I thought that the writing techniques that were used, I thought it was used well, actually. Juliet like kind of annoyed me, but it was still like fun to read and I had a good time reading it. So I read that, and then I read the like novella that comes in between them that's from Warner's point of view, and that was probably the start of the downfall of the series for me, because I didn't really like that, but I figured it'll be fine. We'll go back to Juliet's perspective, and like Juliet's annoying, but like it's still like fun to read from her perspective. But then Unravel Me is just, I guess it was ruined a little bit by the fandom, because I know, I guess spoilers for the series, but like everyone knows this. A lot of people ship Warner and Juliet, and I spent like the whole book trying to figure out how anyone could do that. It just was like a cloud on my reading experience with the book, so I just didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to and as much as I enjoyed Shatter Me. So that was pretty disappointing because I thought this could have been like a series that I at least enjoyed, and I don't even think I'm going to read the third one now. There's just no way that I can see Warner being redeemed, and even if he is, I don't see how he could be forgiven for everything he did in the first two books, honestly. And the most disappointing book of 2017 was The Fate of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. And I know this may come as a surprise because I've raved about the trilogy, but if you watched my October wrap-up, you will have heard that I did not have a good time with the ending of this book. And so this was the most disappointing book of the year because I loved The Queen of the Tearling. Spoiler alert, it's going to be in my favorites video. And this was just such a step down with the ending of the plot and everything that happens in it. It was such a letdown. And it was really sad for me because I loved the first book so much, and the second book was also so good. And like the third book could have been so good if it had been resolved literally any other way. But it was resolved the way it was, so I was incredibly disappointed. It's my least favorite trope, the trope that it used. If you've read the book, then you know what happened. If you haven't read the book and you want to know what happened, leave a comment and I'll tell you, with spoiler warnings, obviously, because not everyone wants to be spoiled on the third book in a trilogy. So those are the worst and most disappointing books of 2017. This list is actually a lot shorter than it has been previous years, so I think as the years go on, my lists keep getting shorter and shorter, which is a good thing, but soon I won't have this video for you guys, which will be sad. But yeah, this is a fun video to film. It's always nice to be able to rant about things. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any opinions about any of the books that I mentioned in this video, like if you loved them or if you also hated them, let me know in the comments down below. And also let me know your least favorite book of the year. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel because I make more videos where I talk about books. Specifically, I am doing the 12 days of Lucy Reads, where I post a video every day until the new year. Again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!